Education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to people who prepare for today. Greetings everyone, I am Beatrice Bartolome and together with
Hi, I'm EJF LOGMAO.
And Adrian James U, here to report the topic
other aspects of organizational
Structure.
Before the discussion proper, allow me to present to you the sequence or the framework of our presentation because that is important for you guys to be guided with the terms and ideas that we'll be going to talk this afternoon. So under the umbrella of the other aspects of organizational structure is we have centralization, levels of hierarchy, departmentalization, Meansburg coordinating mechanism of structure, Meansburg parts of organization, Meansburg 5 organizational structure, and coordinating mechanism. So that is the sequence of our presentation. But before we dig into the other aspects of organizational structure, let us first define what is organizational structure. Organizational structure is a system that outlines how certain activities are directed in order to achieve the goals of an organization. These activities includes rules, roles, and responsibilities. The organizational structure also determines how the information flows between the levels of the company. The purpose of an organizational structure is to help an organization to achieve its aims, objectives, and for the employees to complete their task and work more efficiently and effectively. That is the definition and the purpose of an organizational structure. Now, let's proceed to the other aspects of organizational structure, beginning with centralization. Centralization is a degree to which decision-making authority is concentrated at higher levels in an organization. So here is an example for you to easily understand the concept of a centralized system. A centralized structure is where business happens in a head office, and after the top managers develop a broad view of instructions and decisions, it will be now disseminated and distributed to the lower level personnel for them to implement those decisions. For example, in the University of Mindanao, it is our president, CEO, and the chairman of the board develops power, authority, and decision for the institution. After they develop such decisions and operation, it will be now distributed and disseminated to the lower level personnel of the institution. Next, we have the opposite of centralization, which is the decentralization. Decentralization, it is where decisions are made and problems are solved at the lower levels by employees who are closer to the problem. I have here an illustration also for you to easily understand the concept of decentralized system. A decentralized organizational structure is a structure in which senior management has shifted its authority for some type of decision making to the lower levels of an organization. The second aspect of organizational structure is the levels of hierarchy. Levels of hierarchy is depending on the size of an organization. We have tall structures who has several layers and flat structures who has few layers. Now, a tall organizational structure means that the management is broken down into several layers. For example, in the University of Mindanao, it is a tall structure of levels of hierarchy since it consists of the president or the CEO, the vice president, the chairman of the board, the chairman of academic affairs, the dean of faculties, and the professors. Hence, it is a tall structure of levels of hierarchy. Next, we have the flat structure. The flat structure means that the organization has few levels of management between the workforce and the manager. Flat structure are those startup organization who has only one boss, and after the boss, we have the employees. So that is the tall structure and the flat structure. Having hierarchical structure within the organization helps employees to understand various levels of leadership. The other aspect of organizational structure is we have departmentalization. Departmentalization can be categorized as either functional, which means jobs are based on similarity of functions, or divisional. So this means that it involves dividing of an organization into different departments. Each of these departments have different roles and tasks inside an organization. So, for example, a manufacturing company can create production department, sales and management department, accounting department, and human resource department. So each of these departments have different tasks according to their specializations. This is to avoid a chaotic process within the company. Now let's move on to Meansberg's coordinating mechanism of structure. But first, let us get to know more the proponent of this structure. So he is Henry Meansberg. He is a Canadian academic author of business and management. He is a professor at McGill University, Canada. He has been teaching since 1968, and Henry Meansberg established this coordinating mechanism structure to suggest that an organization can be differentiated with three basic dimensions. So the first dimension, the key part of the organization that critically plays the role in determining its success or failure. Meansberg believes that for an organization to be successful, they need to coordinate to determine success and failure. Determining failure would allow an organization for rapid learning and performance improvement. Also, it would lead them to treat failure as a learning opportunity and to help their employees to learn from it. So the question is, why do we need to monitor success knowing that it is a success already? We need to monitor success since it would increase the organization's success in the future by maintaining the process, being reminded of the strategies they use, and also it could boost the organization's ratings and good image. The second dimension of Meansberg coordinating mechanism structure is the prime coordinating mechanism, which is the major method used in coordinating its activities. It is indeed important for an organization to coordinate its activities, since coordination minimizes conflicts, rivalries, delays, and organizational problems. Also, it ensures a smooth function within the organization. Hence, with the help of coordinating the activities, an organization could achieve its objectives promptly. The last dimension of Meansberg and his coordinating mechanism structure is the type of decentralization used in involving the subordinates in the decision-making process. Employees' participation in the decision-making process gives each employee an opportunity to voice out their opinions and to share their knowledge with others. This improves the relationship between the managers and the employees, and also it encourages a strong sense of teamwork among all the workers. Those are the three dimensions in coordinating mechanism of structure by Henry Meansberg. The three dimension of Henry Meansberg in his coordinating mechanism structure is to determine success and failures, to coordinate activities within the organization, and lastly, allow your employees to voice out their opinions and to share their knowledge within the company. Now, let's recall. My discussion is the first portion of our topic, the other aspects of organizational structure. Organizational structure is a system which includes rules, roles, and responsibilities, and it helps an organization to achieve its aims and its objectives. Now we have its aspects. First, we have decentralization. Centralization is the authority of decision making is in the hands of the top managers, while we have also its opposite, the decentralization, where the authority is in the hands of the lower level personnel or the employees. Second is we have the levels of hierarchy. We have tall structure and flat structure. Tall structure have several layers and flat structure has fewer layers. Third is we have departmentalization, where it involves dividing the organization into different departments to avoid a chaotic process within the organization. Also, we have learned Henry Mintzberg coordinating mechanism of structure, where he has mentioned three basic dimensions in our organization. First is to determine success and failures. Second is to coordinate the activities within the organization. And lastly, to allow your employees to voice out their opinions and suggestions. So for the interactive part and a sort of review for you guys, I have prepared two questions for you to answer and type your answer on the chat version. So the first question. It is a structure where business decisions are made at the top of the business or in the head office. What is the answer? Centralized structure or decentralized structure? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the correct answer is centralized structure. Now let's proceed to the second question. It is a structure of an organizational structure with a limited number of levels of hierarchy. What is the answer? Tall structure or flat structure? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The correct answer is flat structure. Thank you guys for listening and participating. This is the first portion of our discussion. Now let's proceed to the second reporter.
Hi again. Now, Beatrice already discussed to you Mintzberg coordinating mechanism of the structure. Now, I will be discussing Mintzberg key parts of an organization. Now, the management expert Henry Mintzberg proposed that traditionally organization, profit or non-profit, can be divided into 5 components or key parts. Now, these components are useful into understanding the workflow of an organization. Now, let us discuss what are the key parts of an organization. So here we have the 5 key parts of an organization. First, we have at the top the strategic apex, the middle line, the operating core, the technostructure, and the support staff. Now, when we say strategic apex, this is the most senior level of an organization. So the management working at this level are referred to as the board of directors, such as the chairman, the CEO, the executives, and the non-executive director. So in the strategic apex, they are the one who sets the objectives and strategic direction of the organization, as well as the major investments and financing decisions that are needed in the organization. Now, in the strategic apex, they do not involve in the day-to-day business operations. So they do not face the customer themselves and the suppliers, well, except to some cases such as complaints. Now, generally, the strategic apex represents the organizational face to the external shareholders. Now, these are the people or persons that are interested in investing in the company. I hope you have understood something from what is strategic apex. Now, let us proceed to the middle line. So, the middle line managers interprets the strategies and the objectives of the strategic level management, which is the strategic apex, into a feasible plan and standards in order to get the work done through the operational managers. So in the middle line, they are the one responsible to set the budget. Also, they are the one who receives reports from the management accountants, and they're also responsible to monitor performances and also perform corrective actions whenever necessary. They are also given the authority by the strategic level department or the strategic apex to take investment decisions and financing decisions. Only if, again, the authority is given by the strategic apex or the strategic level management. We have already discussed two of the five key parts of the organization. Now, let us proceed to the operational core. So, the operational core are also referred to as operational managers, for they are the one who operates in the day-to-day basis of the company or the organization. So the operational core are those personnel who actually achieves the organizational objectives given under the provision and guidance of their senior managers. Now, if the strategic apex are the one who are the organizational face to the external shareholders, the operational core are the ones who face the external stakeholders, which are the customer and the suppliers. So generally, they are the one responsible for the quality and efficiency of the organizational results. So in the operational core, they provide important information on what strategies suits best into applying and to using in the business or in the organization because of their operational experience. I hope you are still with me, and let us keep discussing and continue discussing the key parts of an organization. Next, we have the technostructure. When we say technostructure, this refers to the employees and professionals that are responsible for the development and innovation of the organization. They have the same chain command as strategic apex to operational core. The only difference is they do not involve in any revenue generating activity. They only assist managers at any performing levels in order to perform it efficiently and effectively. Okay, let's have a little recap of what we have already discussed. We have tackled the strategic apex, the middle line, what is the operational core, and the technostructure. Now, last, we have in the key parts of an organization or the key components, we have the support staff. Now, the support staff refers to the human resources of the organization. Now, in the definition given by Mintzberg, they are considered as the least important personnel in the organization because their absence does not directly affect the performance of the organization. However, thus by the name, they are there to support in any supporting activities that may be needed in the organization. Okay, now we have discussed the key parts of the organization. Now, going back to the image presented to you before, as you can see, we have ideology. Now, when we say ideology, it binds the key parts together, or it binds the key components of an organization together, because in ideology, here we have the shared values, visions, norms, and culture of the organization. Now we are done discussing the key parts of an organization. Let us now proceed on discussing Mintzberg 5 components of organizational structure. Now, I will be discussing to you 2 out of the 5 organizational structure by Mintzberg, and this will be followed by the discussion of Sir Adrian. Now, when we say organizational structure, Mintzberg presented 5. Now, first we have the simple structure. Now, if you may ask, Jane, what is the simple structure? Now, in the simple structure, the major coordinating mechanism is the direct supervision. Now, if we have listened and understood on what we have discussed earlier on the key parts of an organization, what is the key parts that have the direct supervision. It is the strategic apex. Now, under the simple structure is the strategic apex, wherein it uses direct supervision and employs vertical and horizontal centralization. The organization and the simple structure consists the top managers and few of the operational core. Next we have is the machine bureaucracy. Now, if you have remembered, if the simple structure has the strategic apex as its key parts, what do you think is the key part of the machine bureaucracy? If you have answered technostructure, yes, you're correct. The machine bureaucracy has the technostructure as its key part because it uses standardization of work processes as its prime coordinating mechanism and employs limited horizontal decentralization. Furthermore, machine bureaucracy has a large technostructure and support staff. Okay, before we proceed to Sir Adrian to continue the organizational structure, let us have a little recap on what I have discussed to you. We have discussed Mintzberg key parts of organization, which are the strategic apex, the middle line, the operational core, the technostructure, and the support staff. And it is bound by an ideology. Okay, and then next we have discussed the organizational structure. We have discussed only 2 out of the 5, which is the simple structure, who has the strategic apex as its key parts, and machine bureaucracy that has technostructure as its key part. Now, please do listen to Sir Adrian's discussion on the following or the remaining organizational structure.
Hey guys, what's up? This is me, Adrian James U, your next reporter for this day. And as far as I could remember, Miss EJ LOGMAO ended up with machine bureaucracy. Therefore, I proceed to next, which is professional bureaucracy. So what is professional bureaucracy? Professional bureaucracy has the operating core as its key part, uses standardization of skills as its prime coordinating mechanism, and employs vertical and horizontal decentralization. The organization is relatively formalized but decentralized to provide autonomy and professionals, highly trained to professionals to provide non-routine services to clients. Top management is small. There are few middle manager and the technostructure is generally small. However, the support staff is typically large to provide clerical and maintenance support for the professional operating core. The goals of professional bureaucracies are to innovate and provide high-quality services, existing in complex but stable environment. They are generally moderate to large in size. Coordination problems are common. Example of this form of organization includes universities, hospital, and large law firm. Some public school districts have many characteristics of the professional bureaucracy, particularly its aspect of professionalism, teacher autonomy, and structural looseness. For example, schools are formal organizations which provide complex services through highly trained professionals in atmosphere of structural lowness. These characteristics tend to broaden the limits of individual discretion and performance, like attorneys, physicians, and university professors. Teachers perform in classroom setting and relative isolation from the colleague and superiors, while remaining in close contact with their students. Furthermore, teachers are highly trained professionals who provide information to their students in accordance with their own style. And they are usually flexible in the delivery of content even within the constraint of the state and district mandated curriculum. Moreover, like some staff administrators, teachers tend to identify more with their professions than with the other organization. Like the machine bureaucracy, the profession bureaucracy is based on clear lines of authority and standard administrative practices. However, the practices may be built on standards set by law, regulations, or independent external bodies, including professional bodies. And aside from that, Mintzberg once said that school, hospital, and professionals' practices are examples of this structure. He said that the professional bureaucracy is more democratic than the machine bureaucracy counterpart, and that is easier to motivate people. The operating core is the major coordinating influence. He said that. We already done with professional bureaucracy. Now let's move on to the divisionalized form. So what is divisionalized form? The divisionalized form has the middle line as its key part, uses standardization of output as its prime coordinating mechanism, and employs limited vertical decentralization. Decision-making is decentralized at the divisional level. There is little coordination among the separate divisions. Corporate-level personnel provide some coordination, and each division itself is relatively centralized and tend to resemble a machine bureaucracy. The technostructure is located at corporate headquarters to provide services to all divisions. Support staff is located within each division. Large corporations are likely to adopt the divisionalized form. Most school districts typically do not fit the divisionalized form. The exception are those very large school districts that have diversified services division districtly separated into individual units or schools. For example, a school district may be resemble the divisionalized form with it has separate school for the physical handicap. Emotionally, it can actually disturb and learning disabled like in a special school for arts and music students and so on. The identifying feature of this school district is that they have separate school within a single school district, which have separate administrative staff, budget, and so on. Elementary and secondary school districts that have consolidated but retain separate administrative structure with one school board are also example of the divisionalized form. As might be expected, the primary reason for a school district to adopt this form of structure is service diversity while retaining separate administrative structure. In a divisionalized structure, a small central core provides guidelines for business units that enjoy a high degree of autonomy. Mintzberg said that this is the extension of the machine bureaucracy, or may even comprise several machine bureaucracies within a single corporation. It is the middle line that forms a strong coordinating influence. At its key role is to translate the demands of the small central core into the objectives of the operating core. The divisionalized structure is typical of multinational companies. Now let's move on to adhocracy. The adhocracy is the support staff at its key part, uses mutual adjustment as a means of coordination and maintains selective patterns of decentralization. The structure tends to be low in formalization and decentralization. The technostructure is small because technical specialists are involved in the organization's operatively core. The support staff is large to support the complex structure. Therefore, adhocracies engage in non-routine tasks and use sophisticated technology. The primary goal of adhocracy is to innovation and rapid adaptation to changing environment. Adhocracies typically are medium-sized, mostly adaptable, and use resources efficiently. Example of adhocracies include aerospace and electronics industries, research and development firm, and very innovative school district. No school district are pure adhocracies, but medium-sized school district is very wealthy communities may have some of the characteristic of an adhocracy. The adhocracy is somewhat similar to the Hage in 1965 on his organic organization. Aside from that, the adhocracy is task or project-based and has to respond quickly and flexible to changing demands. These demands may be driven by rapidly changing markets or by innovation. There is little formality, so direct supervision and defined processes are less important than in other organization structures. Research and development can be a primary driver of adhocracies as typified by new technologies industries. Now we're already done with adhocracy, and now let's move on to the next, which is coordinating mechanism. So what is coordinating mechanism? Coordinating mechanism is a subsystem of the social system that coordinates the activities of the person or organizations within it. Wherever the relations subsist between the two or more person or organization, their activities requires coordination in some form. This chapter defines and discuss the 5 main types of coordination and note their relative rules in the classical socialist system. Again, there are 5 kinds of coordinating mechanism, and these are: number 1, direct supervision. So direct supervision is a means that one individual is responsible of the work of others. This concept refers to the unity of command and scholar principles. Number 2, standardization of skills. Standardization of skills exists when the kind of training necessary to do the work is specified. In school system, this refers to state certificates required for the various occupants of school district hierarchy. Number 3, standardization of work. The standardization of work processes is a work process exists when the content of the work is specified or programmed. In school district, this refers to job description that govern the work performance of educators and other administrators involved in the school. Fourth one is standardization of outputs. The standardization of outputs exists when the result of the work are specified, because the raw materials that is processed by the operative core, which is the teacher, consists of the people, which is the student, not thing. Standardization of that output is more difficult to measure in school than other nonsense organization. Nevertheless, a movement toward the standardization of output in school in recent years has occurred. Example includes competency testing of teachers, state-mandated testing of students, state-mandated in curriculum, prescriptive learning of objective, and other efforts toward legislative learning. And the last one is the mutual adjustment. Mutual adjustment exists when work is coordinated through informal communication, the process through which people use their judgment rather than standardization rules to address problems, guide decision-making, and promote coordination. This is formalization, the uses of rules, and this is procedure to standardize the operation.
Education is not the filling of a pail,
but
but the lighting
fire.
of a fire.
We hope you had learned something from us. By the way, this is your reporter, Adrian James U.
Beatrice Bartolome,
And EJ LOGMAO saying,
Padayon mga ga!